Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Marcelo Vasquez, who is president and CEO of Waterstone. Now, Marcelo and I have talked in the past on this venue, you'll see, but we've never done a Zoom call, so this is new. And we're going to find out all about his collection of upscale luxury hotels, how they are dealing with this crisis, and maybe learn about what we're going to do going forward. And if you're going to find out all about that and more on Insider Travel Report. How are you? Where are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. I'm home. I've been home for over 2 months. The funny thing is that our office, the Waterstone office, is about 4 minutes that way. And the team all live around here. But we've not seen the office for over 2 months now. So I'm home, comfortable and healthy, which is the important thing. Okay.
Well, that's good. Now, let's remind our viewers about Waterstone. What does your collection of luxury hotels include, and where are most of them located? And how many hotels do you have in the collection?
Yeah, so Waterstone, we're now in our 19th year, if you can believe it. We're a sales, marketing, and communications company. We're based here in Mendham, New Jersey, and we have 52 luxury independent hotels and destination management companies, which we call our members. And the membership is primarily in Italy. I would say just about 50% of our members are in Italy. That's where we began. And then we also have members in France, in Greece, in Ireland, in the UK, Ecuador, Switzerland, Peru, Turks and Caicos, and India as well. We have a fabulous destination management company in India. So yes, all over the planet.
No, absolutely. And last summer, we were lucky enough to visit a number of your properties in Italy. We sort of had a crash course in Italy, all over, up and down the peninsula. And I couldn't believe you had more, but we didn't get to all of them. That was for sure. That was we thought this year we'd be getting to more of them, but I guess we'll have to wait a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Well, this is now you're living my life, and that is trying to get to all of these hotels at least once, sometimes twice a year. So it's good fun, and I miss it terribly.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. We all miss the travel, hopefully soon. Now, how are you helping your member properties during this global pandemic? What kind of services are providing? How are you communicating with them?
Yeah, well, at Waterstone, we're known for our sales and marketing representation services. So driving business to our members. But what many people don't realize is that we also do quite a bit of consulting work for our members. And we've had to step that up quite a bit. I think our members today, and I was on a long Zoom call this morning with one of our Italian members, what they're looking for more than anything is clear advice. They're looking for us to coach them to make the best decisions possible in this environment where, everything is new. So they're looking for us to source information. There's so much information out there, and often misinformation, often overly optimistic, rosy scenarios. And it's very, very important that we provide our members, who are, as I mentioned earlier, independent hotels, family-owned most of the time. They're looking for somebody that will source the right information and give them the guidance. What do we do next?
Yeah.
And so in the absence of a chain support system, we step in and do that for them.
Well, indeed. What are they doing during this downtime? What can they do?
Well, it's very interesting. We've had a broad spectrum of responses to the pandemic. A lot of them are doing renovations. Perfect time if you have the funding, if you have access to funds, then you carry on the renovations that you're due to do, sometimes in minor cosmetic work and other times in additions and installing spas and things of that nature. One of our hotels, the K Club in Kildare, Ireland, they closed the hotel and gave it to their National Health Service to host first responders.
No,
So,
that's great.
Doctors and nurses that were working long days, they can go back to the K Club, get a good night's sleep, and
Yeah, you should be able to get a pretty good night's sleep at the K Club. Last I looked.
you can under normal circumstances, but especially now. And so, our DMC in Italy has worked very, very closely with their communities. They have 21 offices throughout the subcontinent. They've taken on a role with local organizations to try to help out their employees and their communities. So the response has been different depending on the member, but they're all so eager to come back into the market, and they're so. I think everybody's tired of Zoom calls and and webinars and things of that nature. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, now, and indeed, obviously, you have hotels all around the world, and specifically in Italy, you have about half your hotels, and obviously, Italy was hit so hard. What are you hearing from your Italian hotel members about their status, and when is the prospect that they might reopen?
Well, some of them have put forth tentative dates. Many of our members are looking to reopen in June, some in July, but it's really down to what the government guidelines will be, and they're due to be announced. We're thinking around the 18th, 19th of May is when the Italian government will come out with concrete guidelines for how to reopen. And I think that will dictate how some of these hotels will respond and how quickly they can meet the guidelines. One of our members, you're familiar with Forte Village in Sardinia.
Very well. Yes, we had a wonderful stay there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're well ahead. I spoke to them the other day, and what they're looking to do is to create, I know it's ambitious, but if you know the people at Forte Village, if anybody can do it, they can do it. They're looking for a COVID-free resort. Their inspiration is to have every member of their staff to be tested every single day. They're looking to test every guest that comes onto the property as they come onto the property, and then of course do what they can to social distance and to provide the right hygiene, disinfectant levels, and things that I'm not familiar with. They're too detailed at this stage. But the concept of having being able to provide a COVID-free resort on an island, it's appealing. It's very appealing.
And they actually have several hotels within that resort. So it's almost like it is a village. It's Forte Village. And I can certainly, you're absolutely right. I can certainly see that team putting together a COVID-free property. And especially the fact that they're on the island of Sardinia is certainly helps, I think, like that. Now, what about some of your other hotels? I mean, beyond Italy, you said you have hotels in India. You have other things that are not Europe-centric. So is everything closed right now, or are there a few pockets that people...
No, some hotels actually never closed. For instance, our hotel, the Fitzwilliam in Dublin, has stayed open throughout the crises. They've been doing some renovation work. Eventually, they'll do the entire hotel. But that's an example. Our DMC in Turks and Caicos, they're called Luxury Experiences, Turks and Caicos. They've been open throughout, and I think they will be one of our members that will do the best, the earliest, meaning that Turks and Caicos is close to the U.S., and as you've heard, When travelers begin to travel, it'll be local, regional, nationally, and then perhaps into the Caribbean or Mexico up to Canada. So I think Turks and Caicos will do well as a destination, and our DMC will also. I think Greece has been doing a very good job of managing the virus. If they continue to do well, and I think they will, you could see some of our small upscale hotels begin to do very well, particularly those that cater to the private aircraft clients. Porto Zante on Zakynthos is an example. They do a great deal of their business is private jets coming in to their local airport.
And I believe you also have a DMC there, if I recall. Travelite, who also does Italy. But it sounds, and I have heard that too, that Greece may be certainly one of the first European countries back. And the only problem we're going to have is getting there. Yeah. Their countries accepting Americans, airlines, being able to transport people safely. I don't know if you read in the Times this morning, there was a very daunting article about what the airlines are going through and what they will go through going forward. That's going to be a big problem. No, absolutely. Now, obviously you work with travel advisors to communicate about your hotels. What are you telling travel advisors during this crisis, and how are you working with them?
Well, 19 years ago when Waterstone was founded, it was done in partnership with travel advisors. We've never really addressed any other segment, with the exception of tour operators. But our partnership with the travel advisor has always been based on truthful, honest communication, and that's what travel advisors look for in their suppliers. And more than ever, we have been there for the travel advisor with information that most of the time it's helping them navigate through difficult situations. You've heard the horror stories out there. And what we've tried to do is to negotiate on their behalf different terms with our members and try to alleviate the pain as best as we possibly could. We've been very social with travel advisors on cooking lessons that we've done and Zoom cocktails and all sorts of things. But I think the most important thing for us was to make sure that that travel advisor out there knew that we felt their pain and that we were going to stick with them and help them out. And that's been our consistent message for 19 years now.
Yeah, and so especially in this time of crisis. Now, actually, are you getting bookings from them for later in the year and also into 2021?
That's the ray of hope. That's this week in particular, and at the end of last week, reservations have begun to trickle in. We've had individual reservations for city center hotels like Rome and Florence, but also destination wedding came through late last week. We've had a private villa request in Tuscany. So it's percolating out there, James. We're beginning to get bookings, but none of them are for any earlier than September. And most of them are for 2021.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing from other people. We keep hoping that this fall we're going to start seeing. And I was originally hopeful this summer, but obviously events have intervened. And of course, I've been chatting with a number of interviews and saying, look, we could get a situation where a vaccine is produced or some cure comes out, and it would accelerate the whole system in terms of that. But I guess what is your best advice both for your member hotels and for travel advisors during this time? What should they be doing to maybe make this all go more quickly when we emerge from the crisis and get back to traveling again?
Well, in the case of travel advisors, I think they've been very well advised by organizations such as Virtuoso and Signature Ensemble and people that are better qualified than I am to give them advice. But I think it's for them, it went from survival mode and now transitioning to education, education, education. And that's how we've mapped our attitude towards travel advisors. The first, we were very clear when this pandemic hit on three things. We needed to be empathetic and show solidarity in the initial stages. Now, that phase, we're now folding into phase two, which is all about education. Travel advisors, as always, need clear information from which they can make decisions and guide their travelers. And then thirdly, phase three, which nobody knows exactly when we'll go into that phase, and that is going back and asking for the business when it's appropriate to do so. Mm-hmm. So each of these phases are folding one into the next. But where I have the most influence is with our members. And with our members, our direction has been very, very clear. Number one, when you're ready to market to travel advisors, you have to show flexibility. You have to ask for the business, but then be willing to show patience and flexibility, and whether it's a cancellation policy or payment terms, we need to be very responsive to travel advisors and give them the opportunity to cancel if their traveler is not ready to go or they change their mind. More than anything, though, we need to be crystal clear in what's happening on property. We need to be, how shall I say, our industry runs on confidence. And so we need to clearly explain to a travel advisor what they can expect at the destination level and at the property level. And I think that's where Waterstone is going to have to be a great communicator to travel advisors. But I think above everything, what I'm telling our members is to be a member of Waterstone, they've had to pledge that they will always support travel advisors, that they celebrate their business, that they will never undermine a travel advisor, that they will never mess with the protocols of our industry. If you're part of Waterstone, you have to support that travel advisor. Really, if there are no travel advisors, there's no Waterstone. So each of our members needs to support that. So my message to the members is now is the time that you step up. In good times, it's very easy to be supportive of travel advisors. This is when they really need you. And this is when we as an organization and each of the members needs to step up and help travel advisors rebuild their business. I'd rather that one of our members say, we can do one of two things. We can entice a traveler to come stay with us with a special offer, pay for 4, stay 3 sort of promotions, or we can put money in the pockets of travel advisors to help them rebuild their business. I'd rather they take the latter. My approach is the advisor is going to need our help. Let's do everything we possibly can to help them rebuild their business and create incentives, cash incentives, for them to be able to influence business. So that's going to be our focus.
No, absolutely, and I'm sure travel advisors appreciate that strategy, and if your members all follow along, the business will come back a lot quicker. I think one of the things that this crisis has once again revealed to those who didn't know it already is that travel advisors have a real value and an essential. They provide an essential service in booking, these kind of properties. all over the world. They're there for their clients, and they were there during the crisis, and they'll be there for a long time to come. Marcelo, is there anything else you want to tell our 100,000 travel advisors out there about Waterstone, the current situation, and your hotel members?
Yes, I would say call us, contact us, allow us to do some work for you. We're all home, and often we're looking for things to do. So I would say to the travel advisor, if you have questions about our membership or the destinations that we're in touch with, call us and let's have a chat. I would say if you would like for us to begin doing webinars, if you feel it's the appropriate time for us to do an educational webinars, get in touch with me and we're happy to set one up. The idea henceforth is going to be all about communication. And that's actually what we're pretty good at. So we'll respond. If the travel advisor needs our help, we'll be there.
Marcelo, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this crisis, Waterstone, your hotel members, and exactly what we're all about is how crucial travel advisors are to this equation and will be going forward. So I want to thank you again for taking, I know we're both, one of the things about this is we think we have a lot of time, but it seems to be getting picked up pretty quick. I probably never worked more hours and harder than ever before. I kept thinking, this is when I could, start my novel or read a novel, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't know why. I'm going to get the end of this thing hopefully sooner than later and realize, boy, what were all those things I was going to do during this downtime? But it's not much downtime, right?
No, a lot of those projects that I wanted to take on for the house here are not getting done somehow. But you mentioned something that's very interesting. If there is a silver lining in this pandemic, is that the role of the travel advisor could be now reconfirmed. It could become a lot clearer to the market how valuable it is to work with somebody that has knowledge and access to the right contacts around the world. Well, you and I know it, but as you know, there are a lot of civilians out there who don't. And this could be the silver lining in this horrible situation.
Absolutely. Words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Marcelo. Stay safe, stay well, and we look forward to talking with you live at some point, somewhere in the world. We'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to it. And thanks for having me, and we'll see you very soon.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.